I actually figure this to be one of the dogs that the public might back as well.
Well, Dave talked about dogs with Northwestern being perfect this year, 10-0. But I'll tell you what, I watched that Minnesota game last week, and P.J. Fleck changed out his defensive coordinator, and this team was playing incredible hats-off defense on Minnesota. What's the public doing versus what the pros are doing?
This is actually a kind of a pros versus Joes game. There's another big one coming up that we're going to talk about as well, but this is kind of the first one of them, and we've had a favorite flip here. The Minnesota Golden Gophers are a 1-point favorite. They opened as a 2.5-point dog. They took 2.5, took 1.5, and pick with Minnesota, which is why this flipped all the way to Minnesota -1, -15. So Northwestern didn't start out as a dog, but they are now. So depending on what number you got them, you might have them as a dog or not. But I actually think this is going to be one where the public comes on Northwestern because they've had such a good record as a dog this season. So a little pros versus Joes matchup here potentially.
And I think the dogs covered every Northwestern game, so here conceivably you could bet the dog.
Just count it both ways, right? Got a winner either way.
The dog's got to cover either way. This is a big game. Cincinnati and Central Florida. UCF is the team with the clear path to play on January 1st. But they've got to get through this game. And look, they're not a big favorite here. This is a tough game.
This is a tough game. The number here is 7, and it opened 7.5. Two sharp bets on Cincinnati plus the 7.5, which is why we went down to 7. Pros versus Joes here for sure because the ticket count was highly in favor of Central Florida. 65% of the tickets on Central Florida. But as I mentioned before, sharps took 7.5 with the dog. But nobody's chimed in at 7 yet. Just kind of small public bets on the favorite.
Boy, Dino Babers has his team headed in the right direction. They're 2 scores away from being a perfect 10-0, and now they face Notre Dame. New York, outside Yankee Stadium, great tradition. Notre Dame playing with pressure, we'll see. But tell us about this top 10, or is Syracuse top 10 or
no
12 or 13? Top 15 matchup, yeah.
But it's a fun matchup.
Yeah, this is definitely a fun matchup. And if you like points, this is a game for you. The total here is 65, which is really, really crazy. So that's a very high number. Syracuse quietly is a top 10 scoring offense in the country. Notre Dame also averages well over 30 a game, so that's part of the reason why that total is so high. This game opened Notre Dame -9, went up to 10.5, but we didn't really take any bets on 10.5. I actually thought 10. Talked about it with some of the guys here in our room, and we thought 10.5 was way too high of a number here, so we went to 10 on air. And nobody's laid to 10 yet, so that was probably an accurate assessment. We'll see what happens here, but nobody's really laid to 10. So that might be the right number because we do know that they're going to lay 9 with Notre Dame because they already did.
I always get Harvard, Yale, and Stanford, Cal confused because one is the game and the other is the game. But whichever you choose, Stanford and Cal will play the latest edition of their rivalry on Saturday. And Cal is making some noise right now, which I think is probably going to create a pretty good betting game.
Every time you say the word Stanford Cal, my head says to me the band is on the field.
But probably
this
80%
is a fun
of
game
the
here
people.
because it's actually been great two-way action. We opened with Stanford -2. We haven't moved off of it, and the action on both sides is even. Interestingly enough, it's kind of been the public on the dog early on, plus with Cal plus the 2, but it really has been very even action. We've seen more bets on the over of this game than we have on the game itself, which is at 46 right now.
I think this next game, Ralph, is one that we'll find out. It might fit into the pros versus Joes category.
I'll tell you what, and hats off to Herm Edwards. He proved me and probably 80% of the people wrong, thinking he was the wrong hire there. But now he's in the expectation of being in the driver's seat, and people are actually shooting at him with a bullseye on his back instead of being the underdog early or the team that's not expected to win. Tell us about this game, Jason.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Arizona State's been pretty impressive. I think they won 3 of their last 4. They beat UCLA last week, and I know 2 weeks ago was the really big win against Utah that actually we did quite well too. So they've been fun for us because everybody's been trying to fade them all year, and they've been pretty successful. They're a 3.5-point favorite. They're a 3.5-point dog at Oregon this week, and this is another one where we've seen really good two-way action on this one so far. Haven't really had to move off the 3.5. That's pretty much where the market is. It was 4 initially. One bet right away on Arizona State. That's why it's 3.5.
West Virginia is making their backers a lot of money right now. The Mountaineers they're a hot football team. Are they hot at the betting windows this week as they travel to Stillwater to take on Oklahoma State?
Here's the game that we talk about every week when the pros are on the same side that the public is going to wind up on. That's the one here, West Virginia. Number here, open 5. It was 4.5 for a little bit, but it shot all the way up to 6. And I know a lot of people are looking at the spot here. Oklahoma State coming off the heartbreaker, 2-point conversion play against the biggest rival, Oklahoma, and then having to 7 days later play a really, really good West Virginia team. And then the public is going to look at it from the standpoint of, wow, I'm getting less than a touchdown. I'm laying less than a touchdown with West Virginia, so I have to do it. So this is going to be a game that we're going to need to beat. Wouldn't be surprised if Oklahoma State ends up being our biggest liability of the day.
Iowa State, another team that's made that next step, and they are I think they're going to be a legitimate contender moving forward. Went to Purdy 5 games ago, the freshman. Tom Herman, a guy that you want to fade as a favorite, play on as a dog. He's a favorite this week. Does the public agree? Favorite this week, and the public does not agree, to be honest. They're on Iowa State a little bit early. Iowa State is at +3, and we had to actually add some juice to that. Well, Iowa State is +3, -20. It seems like every week Texas is within 3, either a 3-point favorite, 3-point dog, somewhere in the middle. This is another one of those. Look out on the total here. We took a pretty sophisticated bet on over 46, had to move it up to 46.5.
Here's a game that's been a big national game in years past. It's not this year, but it'll still be big here in Las Vegas, and that's USC-UCLA.
Yeah, I'm the dog here with the UCLA Trojans getting. The USC Trojans, UCLA Bruins. The Bruins are getting 3.5 against the Trojans. Good two-way action here on the spread. However, the money line is all UCLA. They're at +140. People are figuring, why not, rivalry game. Let me just take the +140 with the dog.
And let's finish off our recap college. We're going to talk about our local team. Beginning of the year, UNLV was a 7-point favorite at Hawaii. Now that's flipped, and they were +7, I think, down to 6.5. UNLV off a huge upset. Hawaii 2-15 as a favorite. Nice. What do the numbers tell us?
Yeah, this one is shaping up to be a pretty good action game because we actually took sharp bets on both sides. So the game opened 6.5, and we took bets on UNLV +6.5 right away. We went down to 6, and we were at 6 pretty much most of the day. And earlier today, we took a bet from somebody else who we would consider pretty sophisticated, laying the 6. We went back to 6.5. So it's bouncing back and forth between 6.5. As I said before, sharps on both sides, so that's always interesting. Total here is huge, 71.5, and they're actually betting it over.
And, it works out perfectly because, if you go to a UFC card or a boxing card, you get the preliminaries, and a lot of good fights will take place. But the main event is always last, and you hope it's going to be a great main event. And that's what this weekend is like because the main event will be the wrap-up game on Monday night, the Chiefs and Rams. A record total on this game. And, of course, the game being moved to Los Angeles, which means the Rams are a slightly bigger favorite. But I was surprised at how little of an adjustment there was in the point spread from when they were scheduled to play in Mexico City. And as for the total, you can talk about the record being set there.
Yeah, me too. I think in terms of the spread, there was not as much of a home field adjustment as you would expect. One thing to mention, by the way, and if anybody had a ticket with us on the game before it was moved, that is a refund.
Right.
There were only about 15 bets, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But the other thing, about this game, I actually think part of the reason that there wasn't a bigger adjustment with the game moving to the Coliseum, this is just my opinion, was that the number was a little too high. I thought this was going to come Rams -0.5 or -1, and it came a lot higher than that. And so it's no surprise to me that this ended up settling in at 3.5. Which is where it is now, because you figure it's about a 0.5 point, 1 point difference, game being at the Coliseum, give the Rams a couple points. Total at 63 was the highest that we've ever had, and I'll tell you what's giving me a little bit of heartburn. Our best totals guy already bet the over 63, which is where it's up to 63.5, which is not a good thing for us.
Wow.
Just a note on that total. My database goes back to 1989, so 30 years in the NFL. There have only been 2 other totals at 60 or higher. One was 60.5, Atlanta and Packers in the playoff game, 2017. And the other was 2000. It was San Fran and the LA Rams. That was 62. That was the greatest show on turf, I believe. Yep. That game did go under. It ended up 34-24. So 1-1 on the 2 totals, over 60 prior to this game.
No, it's going to be a fun weekend with lots of good betting games. That's where the action is this weekend. It's if you're in action, and then you got the NBA, the NHL, college basketball is back. You got a fantastic Maui Invitational. where Duke could end up playing both Auburn and Gonzaga.
Yeah.
I mean, this is going to be some
They're going to play
fun.
Auburn's second game.
Yeah, it's going to be some fun stuff, and a great reason to have the app so you can play any place you happen to be in the state of Nevada.
Yeah, this is the best time of year. We have mid-November where you have every sport going, huge weekend of college games, and then, obviously the basketball is there. Knights play tomorrow. Knights play tomorrow.
Yep.
So, it's a very fun few days. So come down to one of the books, hang out for the day, get the app, you know it.
You're at work tomorrow, and there's 6 games that tip off at 8 a.m. Why not bet them when you're at work tomorrow with the app? So,
or get up early and just bet from your bed. Yeah, that's the way you bet in 2018. Hey, Jason, we won't be talking to you next Thursday, but we'll wish you a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll catch up in 2 weeks.
Absolutely. Happy Thanksgiving, guys, and we'll talk soon.
Jason Symbol. Follow him on Twitter, @JSymbol, and that is a tremendous report on the big games taking place. You really get a feel for where the action is, and if that can help you make a decision, so be it. Good stuff.
It's a combination of Jason of being Thursday later in the week, and just the knowledge he has both.
Good stuff. All right, we'll take a break, and then speaking of good stuff, talking about great knowledge, Paul Stone having an amazing season, and he sits on top of the Golden Nugget football contest right now. We'll talk to him next.
The Las Vegas Sportsline.
Contractor license 0079414.
A heat pump is basically just an air conditioner running backwards. And with heat pumps, big, expensive problems begin as small, affordable problems that were ignored for way too long. Routine maintenance will keep your heat pump happily doing its job long after everyone else's has laid down and died. Let Gettle rejuvenate your heat pump, and it will say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you 24 hours a day. Just $129. And while we're there, we'll do a complete safety check and replace all the batteries in all your carbon monoxide and smoke detectors. No charge. You'll get a free Gettle flashlight, and you won't have to worry about being woke up in the middle of the night by that evil chirping of a dying smoke detector battery. No one knows heating and cooling like Gettle. GOETTL. It'll keep you cool, but it's hard to spell. Call right now, okay?
With Cliff Miller from MJ Christensen Diamonds, William Henry Collectibles.
Incredible. All one-of-a-kind pieces. They're generational items. And in the South, everybody just lusted after who gets the grandfather's pocket knife. In Vegas, it's stepped up a notch, and that's William Henry. But this is a knife that generations will own. Every one of them made out of custom materials, an incredible story and legacy to pass on to future generations.
MJ Christensen, located at Boca Park.
All my friends need a little money.
Hey, this is Darius. I'm the new guy at Dollar Loan Center on Decatur and Meadows in Las Vegas. Happy holidays. We have a lot of locations at DLC, over 50 to be exact. Take Steven, for example. He's one of my favorite customers. He only gets paid once a month, so he really appreciates our service and comes to get a loan just about every month. And he only keeps the loan out for a few days.
Responsible borrowing. Good idea.
The cool part is Steven comes all the way to our location, even though there's another Dollar Loan Center closer to him. See, he knows that I'm a Vikings fan and he's a huge Rams fan, so we give each other a little hard time about our teams and talk football every visit.
You're both crazy. Go Raiders. Thanks, Darius. Apply online at don'tbebroke.com.
Get a little cash. Get a little cash. Down at the deal.
Licensed by Nevada Financial Institutions Division. Customer must meet the normal loan qualifications. To review loan qualifications, visit us at don'tbebroke.com. Certain limitations may apply. Loans are subject to approval.
Listen up, ladies and gents. Are you or a special someone taking prescription meds to treat ED? Everyone knows how well they can work. But did you know that with one free call, you can start saving hundreds of dollars on every prescription order? Gone are the days of paying $30 plus per pill. Now, for less than $2 per pill, you can get sildenafil, the active ingredient in your ED meds, in generic 20-milligram tablets. That's right. For less than $2 a pill, you can get the exact same results. Each order is discreetly delivered right to your door. There's even a money-back guarantee. Remember, you don't need to pay big prices to get big results. We'll save you hundreds of dollars on the exact same active ingredient. We deliver generic sildenafil for less than $2 a pill right to your door with a no-questions-asked money-back guarantee. Call right now at 800-384-2913. That's 1-800-384-2913. Again, 800-384-2913. Call right now.
Everyone knows that even good people fall on hard times. Your credit cards get maxed out, and you get behind on your taxes. Unfortunately, the IRS is not as understanding, and they won't stop until they collect. They have the power to take your paycheck, freeze your bank accounts. Even your home or business could be at risk.